You know that saying where they talk about it's good to have options? Let me show you some options. So this is our AG Spray 65-gallon UTV sprayer with a 30-foot boom. So this is a lot different because it has 3 sprayer nozzles, and those 3 sprayer nozzles collectively cover 30 feet. So think of that as a broadcast sprayer. Well, there's my problem right there. That's a 12-foot by 18-foot flag. And so a broadcast sprayer isn't going to work well in this case because it's just going to blow all my spray around. And for me, for my UTV, I'm generally spraying my driveway where all this grass grows, and it's a weed killer. I don't want it in my lawn. I don't want it anywhere except the specific location that I want it applied. So how do you do that when you have to fight with winds? Of course, I could wait until it's a calmer day. However, on calmer days, I have customers that I spray for and ourselves that we spray for on our farm. So the calmer days are kind of eaten up by other projects that need to happen. That's where this part comes in. We got parts and pieces. I'm sure you noticed on the box it says AG Spray equipment. Yes, it is an option that they have. Now, originally I didn't buy the boom, well, mainly because it did cost more. Excuse me. Now, I didn't originally buy the 11 nozzle boom, partially because it cost more, but the other reason was because I was like, well, it'd be nice to be able to cover 30 feet at a time. But that was also before I had a larger sprayer for our tractor, so now I don't really use this for large spraying anymore because I have auto steer in the tractor and I can be precise with it, whereas this is great for whenever I'm doing driveways, or if I have a customer that just needs a couple acres done, yeah, I would definitely use this sprayer rather than haul my tractor there or drive a tractor an hour away, whatever the case may be. You might be asking, why would I keep this one around since it's bent? I still care about this one and I actually don't want to lose it or anything like that, or break it. And as a matter of fact, while it's off, I'm actually going to attempt to bend that back straight. I didn't want to do that before because whenever I bent it back straight, if it, say, punctured a hole in this tubing, well, I didn't have another option as far as using the sprayer at that point, unless I wanted to use the wand. Now that I have a different boom, if I do break that one, I can order another one if need be. But let's get this one taken off. We've already got this loose. And then we'll put this one away. So we got our first one on. Now we're going to put the top one on, or the second one on, however you want to word it. Slide those together. And they pretty well hold each other in place. And then we're going to put this through. And from there, we just got to put the nut on there and tighten it. I think what I'm going to do is get all of these on, and then I'll go back and tighten them because I want to get the spacing for what I want, which it does recommend 20-inch spacing. It'll tell you in the book. Super simple process putting these on. We're going to put this bottom one on there, and then the top one, we'll slide it into place. And then the best part is you don't even have to have any locking hardware in there, so I don't have to put that nut and bolt in there until I get everything set, and then I can put it through. Notice on these 3, I put them on, but I didn't put the bolt in. Now I put the bolt in the center one because I don't want it to move, and I don't want it to be easily moved. Now it's not tight by any means, but it's held in place really easily just by having the bolt in there. These other ones, I want them to be able to move, and the reason being is because we have a joint here that needs to be flexible, and we need to figure out what's going to work. So like that's not going to work. I don't want it to get caught on this. Now I have all of these on, but I have the bolt in the end one, and I have the bolt in the second from the end one, but I don't have the bolt in this one. I do have the bolt in the center one. Well, notice that this one right here has that dip in it. So because this part is going to pivot, I want to ensure that whenever it does, it's not going to get destroyed by that spring or pinched like it's getting pinched right here. So instead of having it below that spring like that, I believe I would rather it be in the front of it like this, and then when I pivot like so, it doesn't pinch it until it's all the way in, which at that point doesn't matter, we're not using this. But then whenever I take it and move it back out, again, it's not being pinched. So that's the route I'm going to go. Now I've made an adjustment to this, and I'm going to put the bolt in now because I do kind of want it to stay in place when I'm doing my testing here. And this is just to see if it's going to pinch something. I don't want that to happen, of course. I have my tube or my line running underneath of this pivot point. And so whenever I do this, that's what I was afraid of. It's going to get caught. So we're not going to put it underneath. Let's see what happens when we put it in the front here. Now if we turn it, all right, it's not pinched. And when it goes back to open, you know, it's a little pinched. But at that point, I can walk back here and just pop it back up. Really what I don't want to happen is, this is designed to break away essentially. So if I'm spraying and let's say I bump a tree out here, right? So when it kicks this in, I don't want it to pinch this and cut this line. And you can see that's not gonna happen there. But whenever I had it on the top or the bottom, either one of them, so when they're right there, now when it does that, you can see that it's catching on this bolt for one. Now it's pulling it really tight on that bolt because this would be tight at that point. It wouldn't move like it just did. And so now it's potentially going to rip my line if it happens, say, more than once or even just one time. Now I know these are all where I want them to be. And at this point, I'm going to tighten this side and we'll do the same adjustments on the opposite side. Now, they're all tightened down, and the book says that there should be 20-inch spacing, which right there, we are spot on. But this one's got this kink, so let's see if they allotted extra, and they did. We're exactly 20 inches on center, and we have this extra because the folks there at AG Spray were nice enough to give us the appropriate extra so that it would be no problem having this joint here for this to swing back and forth and be able to fold. And there it is, fully installed. You could put your 11 or 7 nozzle spray boom on where it folds up like this, right? Because it'll fold all the way over and do everything it should. Or you could install it the right way like this, where if you hit something, it's just gonna bend back. I did end up rerouting this behind the springs. With it behind that spring though, whenever I fold this over, it doesn't really catch anything. Yeah, it kind of rubs that bolt, but it's not enough that I'm worried about it, you know, binding or kinking. And then this one, pretty well the same way. Ran it behind there, just like so. And then when you fold them out, it does catch a little more. You can see it's under here, but we'll just push it. Whoops. We'll push it out from under there like that and call it good. You know, the thing is, these aren't automated or hydraulic booms or anything like that. You're gonna have to come out to open them up and close them. So it's not as big of a deal if you have to guide these a little bit to ensure that the rubber hoses aren't in a bad position. All right, I got a tape measure out for us. We're gonna turn this on and see what kind of spray pattern we get. All right, let's try it. That's not supposed to happen. We'll have to look at that. Why is this one leaking? There's a little O-ring down there and it was all in here kind of cattywampus, just not setting down at the bottom. So let's pop it back in and see if that fixes it. That fixed it. Look at that, we're good to go now. All right, so let's see what our pattern looks like here. Everything looks really good. Clean spray pattern, nothing's like streamy or anything like that. It's a mist. Let's, we got enough on the ground now. I think we could measure it. All right, so we've got this where we're out there at the edge, and that is gonna give us, actually it's for sure 13 feet, if not, I might even call it a little farther than that, but definitely 13 feet of coverage. Now you can make it to where it's less coverage if you have this to where it's down lower, and I think that's what I'm gonna do because I don't want quite that wide. I just want the width of my driveway. considering all the spraying we just did, and that flag, that 12-foot by 18-foot flag is that far out. We actually have about a 12 to 15 mile an hour breeze going on. And ironically enough, this thing did really well. I'm kind of surprised that it didn't get blown, like the actual spray didn't get blown around more than it did. Especially once you get past that barn. You know, that barn, it ends up making it a wind tunnel, especially on the sides, the long sides of it. Because if the wind's coming out of the west or the east, it hits it and it has to go somewhere. And a lot of times it just runs down the side of that building. It oftentimes makes it a challenge to spray. So that is a lot better. With the boom sprayer, I typically got a lot of mist from it. Whereas with this, I didn't get hardly any mist at all. And even when I did get mist, it was when I was right here in the open where it was blowing directly from behind me. So I'm happy with that. It's pretty good. Really, highly recommend it. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a blessed week. And remember, if you're going to talk about somebody, talk to God about them.